Hello and welcome back to the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, welcome. Here we share conversations and also solo episodes around human design, ancient wisdoms, also as well, quantum physics, genetic physics, and that's what we're going to be speaking about today, particularly. But this has been my own experiment and something that has profoundly, and I don't say that lightly, profoundly changed my life. So as the name suggests, something that I set as somewhat of a New Year's resolution. It was just a New Year's intention a couple of years ago. It was actually during my Saturn return, where I used to be so indecisive. I would struggle to ever make a decision. I would sit on the fence. I would procrastinate decisions. And one year, I made the declaration that I decide to be decisive, especially as an emotional authority in human design. So for so long, I created my own suffering because really, in essence, by not deciding, you are creating a lot of mental suffering and resistance and distrust in self. Now, I believe every single human being is profoundly and deeply intuitive, is on a big growth mission or journey here from conditioned fear to all powerful, all knowing love. And this is what I want to speak to today as well about the quantum physics side of how your energy, your frequency quite literally shifts and creates your reality and also our stories, which is our perception. So your perception of the world creates your life experience because I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. It's not like the world around you changes and then you change. You change and the world around you changes. And it's not like all of a sudden your family members are different or all of a sudden your work is different or your environment is different. No, that is the same, but you energetically have totally transformed. And then you make different decisions. You create and have different behavior that makes a different reality. And really, it's based on what your RAS, reticular activating system, notices in your world. And then what you notice, what you place your intention in grows. Now, I had a story that I couldn't trust myself. I had a story that it was possible to make the wrong decision. At the core of this is a distrust in life. And life is extremely hard when you don't trust it. Life is a lot more difficult when you don't truly know and believe what is possible for you, but also that at the end of the day, you are safe and you are protected, and that your highest evolution is always the universal top priority. But if we think of it scientifically, is that your whole energetic makeup, how you move through the world, your frequency, how people respond to you, what you attract in, what you connect to is going to be very dependent on your internal environment, on how you show up, on what you believe in, your energy behind your action. Now, you've heard me speak about this on recent podcasts, is that we need to be so clear on the energy behind our actions and our business and our, even if it's an aligned action, because that is felt and that also affects the outcome. Now, and it can be just a slight change that will totally shift how you receive back the energy because all energy returns to source. So you will receive what you give out. Now, I was even recently speaking with this over dinner last night where he was about to sell his business. In about 6 months, he's selling his business. And let's just say he's at the point of, I don't give a shit. I'm just handing it over. It's definitely not his dream business, but it's a very successful business he's built from a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I was talking to him about shifting his energy into so much gratitude and honoring how hard he has worked, what he has created over 50 years, what he has been able to do in the world, what it has provided in his life, the freedom he has created, the places he's traveled all over the world, that he's been able to put his kids through really great schooling systems, that he has been able to buy properties, and that he has, quote unquote, received success. And yes, I'm all about the true self success and also the soul self success, but it's also not about discounting what you've done and created in your life. And so I was helping him reframe and have so much gratitude for this business he has created. Like, it's amazing, this business he's created, and how different that energy will be received when you show up to a meeting to sell your business. Even if you put on a bravado of this is a valuable business, if it is felt in the energy of, I just want to get rid of this and I don't give a shit anymore, versus I'm really proud of what this business is. I'm really proud of the team behind it. I'm really proud of the outcomes that we have achieved. And as I said, a slight energetic shift, and it's annoying to say, but it's always from gratitude and from love. And so why I bring this in is that when we decide something, when we have an inkling, when it is coming from that energy of expansion and love and gratitude, this is where we receive the outcomes and the energy that we desire. And so a lot of the time when we don't make decisions, it's out of fear. People will convince themselves it's not that they don't know. That's just the biggest illusion of all. It's that you're just not placing awareness on the next available step or placing awareness on that slight inkling. And it's been really powerful for me, especially with an emotional authority, to not put the pressure to feel like I have to be 100% certain. That's just not my reality. Feeling 100% certain has never been my reality. And when I released that burden of proof to feel like that will mean whether it's going to be the thing for me or not. And this is a scam. People are saying that they don't have clarity when in reality, they just don't have the certainty of the 100-step plan ahead, and they don't see where every single step is going to take them. So then they tell themselves they don't have clarity, or they have this belief that they're going to lose something. And if you move through the world from I'm going to lose something by making a decision, you will always be in lack and you will always be stuck in your stories and you won't grow to the extent that you can. Because when we feel like we lose something, firstly, that's the biggest illusion. You cannot lose anything because you are whole and one, and it is impossible to lose something. Because again, if you even have this idea that I will lose money, what about how money is circular? It's energy, it comes and it goes and it circulates through you. So this idea of that you could lose it means that you're holding on to it as though it is not energy, and you are creating a story and narrative around it that's actually stopping your ability to receive. And so when it comes to deciding to be decisive, we need to be so clear on the energy that is either generating the indecision and the energy around why you feel like there is even this world that you can make the wrong decision. I honestly believe that the only wrong decision is to not make a decision, because again, the mind and the ego likes this because that means you are not changing. The mind doesn't like change. The ego doesn't want you to be at risk. And so a lot of the time we can make decisions based on the ego that is going to actually be fueled from fear or from wanting to prove yourself, which is only going to get you deeper and deeper into the spiral of inauthenticity and just struggle and distraction from who you truly are. Now, when I had 1 year where I said to myself, I decided to be decisive, it was one of the most transformative years of my life because I was in the movement. And I believe that clarity happens in the movement. You cannot get clarity from sitting at home wondering what if, or journaling about it, or doing pros and cons lists, or talking to heaps of people about it. You're not going to get more and more clarity. It happens in the movement as your body starts to be able to have stimulus to respond to, and you are expanding your vessel to see what you can receive. And when you are expanding your vessel of what is possible and what you can receive, that happens in the movement, that happens as you start making steps forward, then you're going to have more information. You're going to have more information because that's all this reality is. This is also the scientific part, that we live in a virtual reality. We live in an information reality. And this is where we are constantly just receiving and giving information. This energy is information, and we are made of intelligence. And so we receive more and more as we expand, as we move forward, as we take the action forward. And I'm going to go into how to actually make decisions because this is a big part of human design. It's the most important part of human design because your decisions create real reality. We have hundreds of thousands of choices in our life, if not more. And based on the choices that you make will create your trajectory of your life. And we need to get so clear if we are making decisions based on fear and our conditioning, or if we are making choices and decisions based on love, potentiality, unboundedness, experience. And that is your truth. And that is what's going to create what you desire here. Because if you don't have something right now that you want, it's because you're operating from the same consciousness that is basically in a lower timeline to what you say that you want. If you are wanting something different, or if you're wanting a more desired reality, we need to expand the consciousness to receive that. And so consciousness is the energy. And it is the origin and is everything. I was just recently listening, even Einstein said this, and even he couldn't explain it or couldn't create a mathematical equation around this. But this is where we see the energy of expansion is your decision maker, is your compass, is your activator, is your initiation. And it doesn't always mean that your intuition, that expansion, that body's awareness is always going to give you what you think you want. It's going to give you what you actually need. And if there is something you need to learn, and if there is something you need to release, and if there is something that you need to be expanded to step into, and that often happens through the challenge, that's what it's going to direct you towards. So we need to release any idea that there is a wrong decision. There is not. There is no such thing as a wrong decision. There is the decision. And when we can have full acceptance of however it shows up is for my highest good, that's how you're actually going to move forward in life. And that's when you're actually going to start creating the things that you want to create. That's when you're going to actually grow into the person that you came here to be. And so we need to see and connect with our intuitive authority, which in your human design, look up your authority. This is how you understand the energy of love, expansion, growth, abundance is going to be that somatic feeling within your body, that expansion, even if it doesn't make logical sense to your mind. Now, the constriction and the fear is your conditioning, and having an awareness of where you are in your not self, which is the fear and the conditioning. And this is the thing. Most of us go through our whole life and don't even realize that we're not even making our decisions. I had a very big wake up call when I looked around my life and I was like, wait, I didn't actually consciously choose these things from my true self. Everything around me has been, yes, I chose it, but it was chosen through my conditioning. It was chosen through my not self. It was chosen through my not self needing to prove. It was chosen from my not self needing to keep up. It was chosen from my not self needing to rush and get to the end point. It was chosen from my not self of this will keep me safe, even if it's not fulfilling for me. And so when we see that your true energy is love, abundance, fulfillment, and wherever you feel curious, a nudge, something's here and it's going to be quiet. It's going to be that expansive, energetic feeling. And when you can start to explore and create new safety in your life that you can trust this, because in doing that, you start to realize that you can trust life. And sometimes it can be too hard to trust life. What you got to do is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your capacity. Trust that you will be able to navigate anything that comes your way because you have every single thing that has come your way in this life, you have been able to navigate. And so when you honor and trust this inner totem pole, that all of it will be for your better good as long as you move forward. So we need to decide to be decisive. And what has helped me is to get really clear on my values, to get really clear on what I value in this lifetime, to get really clear on where I feel most alive. And for me, it is expansive experiences. It is learning. It is growth. It is my contribution here. And when I just like allowed myself to fully explore and express this energy, for example, I'm going to Nepal next month, just a spontaneous trip for 2 weeks. I want to go to a monastery and I want to learn more around Buddhism. And I have no idea what the hell I'm walking into. But of course, life supports you when you just take the plunge, got the flight, applied for the monastery, got accepted. Look, who knows who will come back. But that is important for me. I've just gotten back from Europe and Indonesia, and I'm going to be going back to Bali at the end of the year as well, because I decide that I'm like, that aligns with who I am, and it aligns with the person I want to be. I'm a curious soul. I'm someone that wants to expand, and I have a desire to grow this business. I was just speaking with my accountant the other day, and he was like, "What's your financial goals?" And I was like, to be honest, I don't have a financial goal. It's a people goal. I have a goal of how many people I wish to access, how many people I wish to share to, how many people I wish to have in the certification so they can receive the amazingness in it. I want to increase the people that listen to this podcast so they can receive these transmissions, because to me, that has been so powerful for me. Like, as I said, your frequency and your beliefs and your stories and your perspectives will shift your life. And for me, listening to a podcast, listening to one of the certification lessons, listening to people that are in a higher frequency and a higher belief system and in a higher expansion, you receive that. You expand your vessel just through receiving it. And, sometimes as well, people struggle with meditating. It's because they're just in their own thoughts. When you expand and receive transmission, intelligence, energy, data from an expanded person or expanded place or an expanded wisdom, you can feel the energy behind it. You expand. And so that's why I'm always in these different spaces. And that's why I then transmit it and share it to you, because I see that that's a big part of my journey and my mission. So to be honest, anything that is going to expand and develop my teachings, my knowings, I will always say yes. That is the highest of my values. Anything that will better me as a person, not in a way that I need to be fixed, absolutely not, but just because this is what I love. Like, I would never not let myself experience something in this lifetime. I just think we're in this one lifetime. Why the hell would I not let myself experience all that there's possible? And it's just sometimes sad to me when I see people that don't let themselves experience something that they really want to. And I think to myself, imagine if I didn't let myself start this business. Imagine if I didn't let myself do my original human design course. What if I didn't let myself move overseas when I felt called to move overseas? What if I didn't let myself move back to Australia when I wanted to move back to Australia? What if I didn't let myself, I'm trying to think of other big life decisions. Do my first retreat. What if I didn't tell myself that, yes, I could teach human design? What if I didn't let myself be in this relationship that I'm in? That was like a very scary decision for me. And so we need to realize that if you don't say yes to your expansion, yes to the love that's within you, if you don't do that, you're saying no to yourself, you're self-abandoning. And there'll be a time when it becomes so loud that you'll basically be forced to do it, but you may as well do it when the energy is hot, when the energy is inviting you in. So when we hesitate, we leak energy. Indecision fractures our life force. Indecision is just a scared part. It's a part of us that's afraid, as I said, that we can lose something, which is physically impossible, or that you're going to make somehow the wrong decision and we go down this what if scenario. And what we have to realize is that your indecision is a part within you that's trying to protect you from change. And the funny thing is that what you actually desire is change. So I really believe that when you have big mental resistance around something, that you feel that expansion, you feel that calling, my 3-step process, you have your authority that says there's something here, your gut lights up for it. You have a little bit of a curiosity, your spleen says, we got to go this way, or your emotional authority, like you feel blissful, you feel good, or you feel, as I said, expanded. And so you have this body awareness, this opening, and it might be very subtle, especially if you don't have any safety around that. And then, second of all, you will have mental resistance because your mind does not like change. Your mind does not like risk. And if you're doing anything new, it will tell you the illusion that you can lose something. It will tell you the illusion that you can have a wrong decision. And it will tell you the illusion that somehow you're not enough, or it's not enough, or whatever. And then the third one will be the universe is inviting you in. You feel this universal support for it. And this is the thing. If something keeps coming up in my environment, if I keep getting these little signs, if I keep giving these little inclinations and people keep bringing things up, or I keep hearing about that author, or I keep hearing about that country, or I keep hearing about this topic or this person, I listen. Trust me, I listen, because I know nothing is random in this universe. So when we sit in these what ifs and these maybes, we are just creating our own suffering, and we are no longer in a relationship with life. We are in a relationship with mind. When you are basically creating too much space between a decision, you're leaking energy, you're missing the opportunity to strike when the iron's hot, and you are also creating more space for that mental resistance to take over. But when you choose, even if it's not perfectly done, or even if you don't have the full clarity, your energy aligns and your life force flows. So decisiveness is not about rushing. It's not about forcing. It's about trusting that where you are feeling called is for a reason, and to follow it is sacred in itself. To understand that life force needs to move. And every decision you make is an act of creation when rooted in love, when rooted in expansion, because your choices then will expand your field around you. It's funny, like when I make these big decisions in my life, synchronicities happen around me, my business benefits, my relationships benefit, even if they have no direct correlation between each other, because love and intention and energy becomes the fuel for your expansion. So your yes is powerful. And also deciding to be decisive might be like, I decide to be no. I decide to honor that this is a no for me and let that be it. Sometimes when I hear people saying to me, when we get really clear, and I will speak to them and we'll get really to their clarity, because as I said, the clarity is there. We just aren't acknowledging it. I don't believe people don't have clarity. We may be a bit open and we're letting it alchemize, but we all deep down know. And it's just about taking the steps towards it and to honor the life that's moving through you. And if you don't have full clarity, it's okay. What steps do I need to make to create the clarity? And also, do I just need to create space and create openness and quiet my mind, enter a nature walk where the clarity can just naturally land? And so, yes, your no can be very protective, but decide to be no or decide to be yes. Put yourself out of your misery of being indecisive and decide to be decisive, because your life force is the guide and it is telling you right now. And fear will present. When there is change, there is fear, and we give love to that part. You can move through the power practice that I shared in the last solo podcast. I'll put the link below. It's really powerful practice. You can pause what an opportunity that you are being given to shift something, that you're being given to expand your frequency and to move into a different timeline, so that you can expand your vessel to receive more. And we give love to the fearful part of ourselves. We give love to the uncomfortable parts, and we move forward, because you move forward from the place of love. What would your truest self do? You embody your intuitive authority and move towards that, whether that is your emotional clarity, that sacral response, a splenic instinct, or your voice, your words. Decisiveness comes when you honor your unique design for your decision making. And when you act with courage, your energy just expands, it aligns. We need to remember, and this is the most pivotal part of human design, is that your mind is not the decision maker. And I think a lot of people get this wrong, even with the emotional authority. It's, oh, give yourself time to make a decision. That does not mean that you think about the decision over a couple of weeks or months. You're kidding yourself. That's an illusion. That's your story. It's not about thinking about it. It's feeling into it over a few days maximum. You're feeling into it. How does my body somatically respond as I move through my emotional wave? So your mind does not make your decision. Your mind is full of your stories, full of your subjective perception. It's full of your judgments. It's full of conditioning. Until you totally reprogram and reshift your mind and you come from the energetic truth. And this is where I was going with what physicists are saying, is that your perception creates your reality. So if you perceive that life is out against you, that shit happens, that it's not possible for you, that opportunities don't exist, that you can make a wrong decision and lose everything. All of these perceptions are based on illusions, and it's based on the idea that you are separate from nature, the idea that, it's this idea of limitation, which only comes through the finite mind. If you think about it, your energy is expansive. I used this example recently that think of the universe as the ocean. And if you take a cup of the ocean, think of the human form as the cup, but it is holding the energy of the divine. So that is still source energy. But what happens is that we mistakenly identify with the limitations of the cup rather than seeing that we are true life force energy and nothing can be lost and nothing is limited and nothing is going wrong. Because the thing is that if you have a perception that you are separate, limited, can't trust life, your mind will create evidence, will look and search for evidence through the RAS system to reconfirm its stories and its narratives and create evidence for it. If you have the knowing, because it's not just a belief, it's a knowing that you are divine life force energy and that you have everything that you need and everything is possible for you because you are divine life force, there is nothing missing. Any idea that there is something missing is an illusion. And you can just witness yourself. You catch yourself. We don't let any unconscious thoughts go missed. You catch those thoughts and you come back and you transform them from fear, from illusion to truth, expansion, knowing, and love. And that quite literally shifts your frequency and changes your experience of the world and changes how you're received in the world. These are the people that vibing high and you truly want to connect with, not the pessimists and the Debbie Downers that we feel almost repelled by. And so another example is imagine the space in a room. If you ask space, like the space in a room, who are you? What are you? If it looked around and it was like, oh, I guess I'm a chair. I guess I'm four walls and a floor. I guess I have a roof. Again, that is misidentifying with things around it. It's misidentifying with the limitations of the space in the room. When in reality, if you took a sample of the space inside your room and took a sample of the space just outside of it that's expansive, it's the same energy. It's the same, like that's made up of the same thing. So if you actually ask the space, who are you? It would say, I am, like I just am. And this is what all schools of thought and all ancient wisdom speak and come to agreement with is this awareness, is consciousness. The origin cannot be determined. It can be hard to explain, but all it can be explained is I am. Because any other label, this is the thing, I reject any other label. In this new paradigm, we're not going to be feeling resonant to any form of a label because it's so false and it's so illusions. You are not just mom. You are not just teacher. You are not just reader. You are not just daughter. That is just words. And yeah, it is actually limitations. And this is where I love Ahum is the Vedic mantra, Ahum, which is I am. And that's it. I am full stop. Know thyself. To know thyself, you realize that, you can't understand the true nature of the universe until you understand the true nature of the self because you are the universe. But your reality or everything in the universe is filtered through your perception of self. And if you have a perception of limitation, if you have a perception that you can make the wrong decision, if you have a perception of not enoughness, that's what you will create in your life. And so it is your greatest service to humanity to understand your limitless nature and to make decisions and decide to be decisive because every single thought and action has a frequency. And when you move forward with love, with intention, with expansion, even if it's just the slightest expansion in the body, if you move forward towards that, you create more of that. Your vessel expands. And so your love and your fulfillment is within you. And when you move through the world, you are basically being reflected of that. And you're giving yourself an opportunity to feel what you already are. It's not that love is coming from outside of you or fulfillment is coming outside of you. That is who you are. And when you go and do things, for example, when you go and connect with your partner or when I go and teach, it's that I'm getting the reflection of the love and the fulfillment within me. So only you can feel it in your body. So don't mistakenly identify with your illusions and with this disbelief in self because you will just end up in the same position and you will just never make decisions and you will stay in your same limitations. And then we get frustrated. Then we get angry with ourselves. And that doesn't help. Frustration and anger with yourself does not help. It's love and compassion and deep understanding of I see you. I understand you're scared, but our truth is expansion, is love, is knowing, is the limitless nature that we have. Because if you think about the ocean, like the expansive energy of the ocean. If you think about the space energy, if you're in a room, think it would be an illusion for the energy in the space to misidentify with the room, truly the energy is bigger than that. And I had this moment when I was actually in a Vedic training where I looked around the room and I realized that it wasn't that our bodies were holding our consciousness, is that it was actually that there was an infinite field of consciousness and our bodies were plopped inside. All these bodies just plopped in front of this one conscious energy that is just wanting to expand. It's wanting to move. It's wanting to create. It's wanting to love. It's wanting to enjoy. But only us are the ones that stop our life force energy. So do yourself a favor and decide to be decisive and follow and trust where life is wanting you to go, where you are being asked to be of service, where you are being directed for your highest path. Because right now you are being invited, and it's not by accident that you are listening to this podcast. And your only thing you have to do is say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to the next available step. Say yes to where you feel expanded or excited or curious. Because in doing that, you say yes to your evolutionary path. To not make decisions, you are being anti-evolutionary. Because in the decision, yes, if you are needing to learn something, if you are needing to expand in some way, incredible, beautiful, let that be part of your journey. Let it be a proactive thing rather than you having to, like the universe, to have to make it a reactive experience where it'll throw you into a rock bottom or throw you into a place where you're forced to make a decision. Let's be proactive first. So when you realize that indecision drains your energy and decisiveness, releasing this idea that you can make the right or wrong decision, aligns you. So name it for what it truly is. It is a protection mechanism rooted in fear of not making the right decision or making the wrong decision and fear of change. So not making a choice is a choice in itself. So when you realize you don't have to be 100% sure, you don't need to know where it's going, you're not going to know. It's physically impossible to know. If you know where it's going, I would argue it's your conditioned path. It's not actually a true intuitive choice or decision. And if you feel expanded, if you feel nervous, if you feel unsure, if you feel like, oh, what are we doing? That is a good sign. And I hear so many times people will say, I feel my gut, but my mind talks me out of it. Again, that's because your mind is wired for sameness and safety, whereas your intuition is wired for growth, for change, for alignment, for your expansion. So waiting for your mind and your intuition to be on the same page means you'll be waiting forever. So this idea that it's always going to feel obvious, it's not. If you are moving into new territory, if you're moving into your expansion, it's going to feel uncomfortable because you're going against your conditioning. You're creating new neural pathways. You're creating new safety where before these protective mechanisms were put in place because it was needed at the time. But now you're an adult. Now you can trust yourself. Now you have capabilities. Now you have trust in yourself and what is possible. So it's not about waiting until you're braver or waiting for the right time or waiting till you're more confident. It's choosing to be decisive now, because in order to change, there's going to be an element of risk. So when you stop living in fear and lack and smallness, your transformation is actually possible. Everything fulfilling and enriching came into my life when I followed my intuition, when I stepped into the unknown. To think that life doesn't have unknown is like thinking about going into the water and not getting wet. It's just impossible. Life is unknown, and fear will present when there is unknown. So when you start to reframe it and see that, once what felt anxious or nervousness, it's the same feeling of excitement. It's just a story you create around it. So when you realize that this is your initiation, this is your precipice for expansion, you're actually going to move towards it and you're going to receive the benefit from it. I truly believe you really need to go all in. I see a lot of people that stay in the same situations and mindsets just because they don't go all in on themselves, because there's this fear of committing to themselves or committing to a decision. And what you have to realize is that nothing is forever. You can change if you need to change, but nothing ever good comes from half-hearting. When I told myself, no, I'm going to fully commit to my business, then I actually could receive the full potentiality of what's possible. If you half-heart something, you won't. You'll only half-half and receive the half-half energy back. So when you decide to be decisive and give it your energy, give it your all, let your life force move. Your soul just wants to expand. The only thing that stops us is us, with this illusion that you can get it wrong or this illusion that you can lose something. It's almost like we need to channel sometimes more naive younger self who just went for it without realizing what she was actually doing. Because in doing that, you receive the full fruits of what is possible. So the biggest and most important decision I ever made in my life was choosing to follow my intuition over my logical mind and deciding to be decisive. Start practicing it. Start witnessing when you get all in your stories and all of your illusions, because that is coming from the frequency of fear and your conditioning, which is not your truth. Decide to be decisive and move forward. Put yourself out of your misery and start to move towards your expansion. Start to see that more and more clarity will come in the movement. Start to trust yourself. Start to show and create safety in your nervous system of what's possible for you, and start to create the new neural pathways of your new reality, a reality of infinite potentiality, a reality of your expansive service and contribution here. Because that is when you're going to receive the full reflection and mirror of the fulfillment and the love and the abundance that's within you. So when you move forward in the energy of love and truth and abundance, you will receive back the same thing. Science is confirming this. This is why we want to change our state before we touch anything in our business. This is why you want to move like your higher self. You want to take aligned action in the future self that you know you can be and who you truly are. This is all what science is saying and what ancient spiritual wisdom have been saying all along. Focus on the energy that you wish to expand and let yourself live. Decide to be decisive and start to see what is truly possible for you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this served you. I hope you felt the energetic transmission from someone who used to be extremely indecisive, who is now super decisive and has reaped all the benefits from it. I now have this successful business, travel all around the world, do what I love, teach what I love, beautiful relationships, friendships, all the things that I really didn't believe were possible for me because I took one step after the other. So if you would like to learn more around human design, it's more than just a human design certification. It is a blending of all my favorite modalities and also the backing of physics and quantum physics and science. And it's a 6-month journey where you will transform in the journey, whether you end up deciding to become an advanced human design practitioner or you decide to just have it with your friends and family or merge into your existing business. You'll never regret it. It's a powerful, powerful space. And just check all the testimonials I have on my website. I'm very proud of it. Very, very proud of it. It's exactly what I would have wanted and what I continue to give so much love within. So I'll put all the links below. We open doors on the 22nd of September and you can jump into the modules. There is over 60 plus hours of recorded modules and actually way more now. I think it's up to 90 now. So there's wealth of knowledge, and once you're in for a lifetime, very excited. It's going to be a powerful, powerful cohort. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for listening and I will speak to you next week. Bye.